Hi everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing fine. I've been basically um, hibernating inside, having things delivered. My friend here, Marquis, here's Marquis. He's going to help me do this video here. He's sitting here and I'm helping him chew a bone, and he's helping me do the video. First of all, if you're not caught up yet, don't worry about it. Just try to keep up as best you can, and I would recommend that you go back to the first discussion board on Cookie Jar and post. If you haven't posted on that, post on that. Post on Pet Cemetery if you can, and then try to get the first assignment done. But just by posting something, I'm giving you some points on that that will count for really for the discussion boards are counting for classwork. So at least that way I have a grade posted for you. So if the advisors or anybody look in, they can see that you're actually taking part in the class and you're doing some work. So that's important. If you are caught up, and a number of you are, you've already written your first assignment. Our next pieces, we're going to start with The Shining, and that's my copy. And I also have this one, if you can find it. At this point, you might be able to order it online. I got that one at Barnes & Noble. It has Carrie, The Shining, and Salem's Lot in it. It's a really cool-looking copy. So we're going to work with that next. And you're probably familiar with the film, at least one film version of The Shining, one by Kubrick, and it has Jack Nicholson in it. There's another one, and I think I posted a video about how Stephen King hates the Kubrick version, but it did earn him a ton of money. So I'd love to be in that position where I could hate a film version but still be collecting the residuals from it. I have also posted a chapter, I think it's chapter 4 from my book, The Linguistics of Stephen King, which is about The Shining itself. I was planning on posting the whole, putting the whole book on reserve in the library. That's obviously not happening now. If any of you want to read the whole book, just send me an email and I'll post up the PDF file of the whole book. But at this point, rather than overwhelming you, I figured I'd do it chapter by chapter. I do have to put it up by my Word files because the PDF file is the whole book and it's hard to cut it into pieces and put it up by chapter. So please don't judge me on the typos and any of the grammatical mistakes or things that are in it, because it had gone through 2 editings since then. It had gone back to the publisher, that they had edited it. PDF file came back to me. I edited it from there again, and then it went to the published form. Now, The Shining is a traditional Stephen King ghost story. It is one of the books that made him become known as the king of horror. Between Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining, those were his first 3 novels. The Shining was the 3rd one that he had written back in the 70s. And some of the themes in this book, it really goes beyond just a typical ghost story, a typical horror story. It does look at family life. It looks at addiction. It looks at alcoholism. The main character, Jack Torrance, suffers from alcoholism, and it kind of gets the best of him in this book. It sort of lets his guard down to be to let the bad things in. It looks at the psychic things. Dr. Sleep is actually the sequel to that, which the book has been out for a while, but the film is relatively new. It was a pretty good version of the film, I think. So it looks at that. Stephen King himself had gone through a lot of substance abuse problems, which he has since managed to overcome. And one of the things he had said in one of his interviews is that when he was doing mostly cocaine and a lot of alcohol, he really was drinking way too much. He was afraid to stop because he thought it would hurt his writing. He since has gone on to say that one of the biggest myths in literature is that alcohol increases creativity and that writers can't write without it. And once he did give that up, his family did an intervention. Here's my friend again, Marquis. How you doing, Marquis? Once his family did an intervention, he was able to go on and write. I think his writing got better, as a matter of fact. Some of his worst writing, like the Tommyknockers, was done when he was having the most problems with substance abuse. And he's written some really fantastic novels after that. So be on the lookout for that. And the other thing is, Stephen King has said that he's addicted to writing. He can't stop. He says he writes, and I believe him, he writes every day of the year except Christmas and his birthday. He has threatened to quit on several times and can't seem to do it. Writing seems to be a very good addiction. He's obviously not doing it for the money anymore. He makes more money than he knows what to do with. Matter of fact, he gives a lot of it away through charities. But it's something that he does. He's got a very strong work ethic. I had recently published an article or a piece in an anthology about Stephen King and his writers. We call it metalinguistics, when writers write about writing. And he does that a lot. A lot of his narrators are English teachers, which he used to be, or writers or creative people in one way or another. And if you look at The Shining, the main thing that leads to Jack's downfall, at least in my opinion, is the fact that he stops writing. He goes on this retreat to take care of this old building with the idea that he's going to finish his play. And he doesn't really do very much work on the play. He lets everything else take control of him. And so that, to me, is what leads to his downfall. His successful writers in novels where they're successful and they do well are writers that have a lot of creativity and a lot of work ethic that go beyond and help make them successful. And you can see in Stephen King's own writing that has happened as well. So that's or a couple of really major themes: the idea of creativity and writing bringing life. You can see that if you're familiar with Misery, that's definitely a case. It's like Scheherazade and 1001 Nights. As long as you keep telling stories, you stay alive. For Stephen King's narrators, that seems to be the case as well. As long as they keep telling stories, they stay alive and they stay sane. It's what gets the main character through Misery. It's what doesn't get the main character through The Shining. He stops his writing and stops his creative activities. So anyway, I hope you all are doing well. Everything's doing good for me here. North Miami is pretty much shut down, just like everywhere else in the country. If you have any questions, always feel free to email me at any time. I'm on this computer way too much, way more than I probably should be. But if I don't answer your email immediately, it'll happen during the day. I've kept up with the discussion boards as well, so if you want to post to them. And my little dog Marquis here now is saying, okay, Jim, you're spending too much time with the phone and not enough time with me. So that's probably my cue to end this. I hope it finds you well, and I hope you're enjoying the Stephen King stories that we're reading, and maybe have a chance to read some other of his books and watch some of the films. Okay, say bye, Marquis. Say goodbye. Hopefully we'll get through this thing, and I'm hoping to see a lot of you guys next year, or if you're graduating, keep up with me, and let's get through this thing together, and I'm going to do everything I can to help make sure you graduate on time. Take care. Stay well. Bye-bye.